Well, been working on the white all weekend, but kind of ran into a problem because I need more parts, so didn't get the video done in time to get put up. So in order to have something for a filler, figured I'd make another farm memorabilia one. So we're gonna start with this guy that I always forget that I have. Uh, this is just a counter stool from the dealer that we actually think sold. We got no proof of it other than the keychain, but we think that came from the dealer where my 1950 T was sold new. They at least had it at some point because it has a keychain from the dealer, but we're pretty sure they sold it new because it came from that area. But about 2 or 3 years ago, they got bought out by the New Holland chain around here, and they were getting rid of all of their old Agco parts and stuff, and I forget why. I think I ended up going down there one day. I needed some plow bolts or something, and I was down there, and they had a table set up in the lobby with a bunch of the new old stock shit just sitting on it, and there were some Oliver parts there. So I picked them up, threw them on the counter, and bought them because they were dirt cheap. And he's like, "You want any more stuff like that?" And I was like, "I don't know." So he took me upstairs where all the shelves were, and I was rummaging through the parts, and this thing was sitting over in the corner covered in dust. I was like, "How much you want for that?" He says, "I don't know. I'll have to talk to the owner because he kind of collects some of that stuff." So it was about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks later, because I gave him some of the models of the equipment that I have, and he looked through the part numbers, and he looked through all the parts they had left, and he found all the shit that they had as far as new parts and stuff that fit anything I had. And he called me 3-4 weeks later when he got it done, and I went back down there, and he says, "You still want that stool?" I said, "Yeah." He says, $20. So I didn't think that. I mean, she's rough. The top is all the foam's gone. The top's in really bad shape. Obviously it's like that, but the logo's still all there. The rubber pads for the feet are missing except for one. And I thought about trying to find somebody to make a new seat cushion and everything, but then it's just a stool with a brand new seat cushion. It's not really. It's one of them damned if you do, damned if it don't. If you restore it, does it make it worth more or less? Because there's not really anybody collecting Agco stuff yet, so it's not like a super valuable item to begin with. But I don't know. I haven't really. I'm leaving it this way for now. I don't really know what route I want to take with it, because if you restore it, it's not original, obviously, and I don't know. But there's that. It's kind of neat. You don't really see. That's actually the first. I'm sure there's more around, but that's the first one I've ever seen. So, and we'll get at least one brochure in. We'll see how long it takes us to get through this. This is a 1975 full line catalog, which would have been the first year for all white without any Oliver stuff. But they had the 105, the 2 154, 154, 180. And apparently that's also the year that they introduced the 20-inch Radex bottom, was 75. I never have actually read this. For more than 125 years, products have been built and marketed under the Oliver, Minneapolis, Moline, or Cockshut names. These three predecessor companies developed a strong tradition of innovation, quality, and agricultural equipment. Today, all the knowledge and experience of these companies is combined under one powerful brand name, White. And it all went downhill from there. For 180, pulling a 27, probably 271 or a 272. Most likely a 271 disc. 210 engine horsepower. and the 180 had the outboard planetaries, so that's what made it the heavy duty one. But it only had it had the 2-speed. It didn't have a, they didn't offer it with the over under. It had a goofy 2-speed that was not power shift. So, and now they're kind of hard to get parts for, so you kind of want to shy away from the 180 if they have any driveline problems. If they're a decent tractor, that's one thing, but if they need work, eh. I always thought this was a cool picture. I like them white wall Firestones they got like that, although they look goofy with singles on them. But they were meant to be a row crop 4-wheel drive, so. These are kind of a rare bird today to find a open station 2150 with a ROPS on it. Those said the 585 Moline, but by the time they got to these, they had most of the kinks worked out, and they were actually a fairly decent motor. Although they're still expensive to overhaul now if you have to do it. So again, if they're a rag, it's, you kind of want to shy away from them. And then the 105. That's the disc I was always looking for before I decided, well, before I finally rebuilt this 252. I was really hoping to find a 263, because these are nice. They're kind of in between. They're kind of like a medium frame disc. Like a 250 series would be a light frame, a 260 series would be a medium frame, and then 270 series would be a heavy frame. But they're light enough to be a finishing disc, but they're heavy enough that if you need to, they can be a rough cut disc. But at this point, the only things you had left that were technically of the Oliver heritage were the 1716 and 50 and 55, because they needed something to fill in the gap under the 105, because the 105 was the replacement for the 1955. Then you got your Fiats, 1370, 1470, and 1270. And then the combines. So the 8800 would be, this would be the series before the 8600. So you had the 8800 and the 8600. And then they still would have been obviously building the 7300 at this point, and that was the baby. But you tear all the sheet, or you put all the, or you tear all the sheet metal off of a 86 or 8700. They don't really look a whole lot different than that underneath. The cabs changed obviously a fair bit, but and then they got rid of this auger, and they added the turret auger. There was changes, but underneath they still look a lot like that. And the 7300, which I think they built the 7300 clear up to 84? 83 or 84, I think. The 7300 hung on for a long time. And then the 5542, which we saw in the Cockshut brochure a video or so ago. Which I never understood why they offered the 7300 with a Perkins, but they only offered the 5542 with a 318 Chrysler. Because for all, a 5542 is just a hair bigger technically than a 7300, so seems like a Perkins would have been a natural fit into there, but anyway. Then we get into the introduction of the 5400 Plan Air planners, which was White's first air planner. And the 5400 could go out from a 4 to an 8 row. And if you wanted bigger than that, you got into the 3400 toolbar planner, which these things went, I think, out to 16, yeah, 6 to 16 rows. And then if you didn't want to spend that kind of money, you could get a 543, which was just the updated version of a 540, still a plate planner, but they had a option for the no-till bar and all that fancy stuff. And then the 343 was a semi-mount, which I can't remember. Yeah, the 2 to 16 rows. Interesting. .508. This was where White really hit the sweet spot on the plows. The .508 and the .588, those were the Cadillacs. They would plow. I'm pretty sure you plow under an oak tree if you really wanted to. These things would just go. Here it is behind a 150. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bottoms behind a 150. That's got to be 20s. That is a big plow. That seems bigger than my 7 bottom. And the 548. So the 5-8 series plows were the box tube frame. So like the 508, the 588, and the 548, those were your box tube frame. Those were the heavy frame plows. And then the 598 was your variable width. Which you could, from cutting from a 14-inch bottom to a 22-inch bottom, you went from a 98-inch cutting width set at 14 all the way out to 154 inches set on 20. And the 348 was the box tube frame fully mounted plow. And then the 3242, that was one of the oldie but goodies. These came out with the 550. They built these things forever. And then the 448 was the pull type, the big pull type. I think these things, yeah, you can go out to a 10 bottom with one of these. These things still bring some good money. There was one for sale not too long ago. I think brought a little over $3,000 for one of these. .476 chisel. That's another 180. And then 249. 281 disc. This would be nice to find one of these for the muck, but I don't know if that'd be too heavy or not. And then the 270 series. And the 250 series. It's odd that they have two styles of wings here. This is the old style. And then this is like what I just put on our 252. And then I don't know why they have this here, because this is for the 260 series disc. Because that's a box tube frame. But okay. And the 485 cultivator, which was a carryover from Oliver. There's a 150 right there. 285, which was a carryover from Oliver. 501 swather, which was a carryover from Cockshut. And I've never seen one of these. I never knew they made one until I got this brochure, the 412 grinder mixer. I never knew White offered a grinder mixer. I thought that those, they quit making those after they dropped the hay and forage line. But apparently and it makes me wonder if they built those, or if they built these, or if they bought them from somebody. I haven't seen enough grinder mixers to know if that looks similar to another manufacturer. Cool little 50s pickup. Looks like a 50 Chevy pickup behind it though, right there. Then you got the lawn and garden line. Yard Boss. You see this stuff every once in a while. I know where there's one of these sitting in a junkyard that's in pretty good shape that I kind of want to buy just for shits and giggles. I could probably get it dirt cheap. Then you got a lawn sweeper, limb chipper, snow blower, push mower, couple riders, power washer, tiller. Apparently you could pull the tiller behind a garden tractor. That's kind of weird. Oh, damn it. If you wanted to finance, you can go through White Motor Credit. Wonder how that worked out after they went bankrupt. And then you got your old Dodge service truck. I don't even know what year that'd be. Probably late. Well, it'd have to be late 70s because it's obviously 1975. But so it's probably a 74 or 75 pickup. Printed in Canada. If I remember right, this came from the plowing match up in Canada too. I think this came from the same place my full-line Cockshut brochure did. Oh, let's do one more. We'll find. Let's do an implement one. There's one in here I just bought. Actually, there's a couple in here I just bought. So this is how I figured out what model the soil finisher is. Looks like it's behind a 2870 case. But this must have been right after they came out, because the Glencoe soil finisher, a new one-pass seed bed preparation tool. Discs incorporates, cultivates, and harrows. So apparently first with the system, I'm guessing it means that Glencoe kind of invented the soil finisher. I can't really think of anybody that had one out before them. But this is the SFH, Sole Finishing Hero 129, which stands for 12'9". And then this one, which is the one I have, is an FSH 249, which is 24'9". But they had a bunch of different ones. They had a SFH 113, obviously 1113, 129, a 159, a 189, a 203, a 249, and then a 309. That don't make a whole lot of sense. How can you have a 15.9 cutting width and a 17.9 transport width? Interesting. Apparently it's because, it's because the shovels are inside the frame rails, so the frame rails must have hung over, because all the smaller models have a wider transport width than a working width. And then you had your 3 different shank options. Mine's got these. These are the heavy ones. And then these are your Danish tines. Unfortunately, this thing does not have a year on it. But that case looks fairly new, so a case guy can probably date it fairly good. But, that's the 22-minute mark, so I guess we'll call her good for now. I've got one more video I kind of want to make this week. We'll see if the weather cooperates, and then hopefully by like Thursday, Friday time frame, I'll have all the parts and have the white back together. So hopefully by Friday, you'll be seeing that video. And the weather's supposed to be nice all week, so I might take Friday off, start spreading get fertilizer spread, because I should be able to get it done in probably a day, now that I can do it all in one pass instead of having to double pass it, but we shall see. So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you all on the next one.